and I am excited as usual. I wanted, well, I've been wanting for a long time, let's be real. Well, hello. How are you? I am good. I am so excited to officially start the Junk Journal series. Um, Today is a simple day. Today is just going to be me kind of telling you what a junk journal is in my world. And like some definitions of some things, um, some terms that you'll probably hear a lot during this whole series. Just, I'm just going to ramble a little bit about what this all is and then let y'all know what to expect going down the road. I will kind of go over some things that you may want to acquire or, simple things like that you can just use from home, which is kind of how I want to base this particular series. Um, like going back to the basics, like what a junk journal is really defined as. And right now, like, you can make some beautiful journals. I see so many beautiful, beautiful junk journals out there. It's amazing to me how much some people do. Just true artistry, true artistry. Um, and I love doing that. I love mixing it up. I kind of am like a hodgepodge of everything. That's kind of how I do things. I hate to be like confined, but I do want to stick to the basics here because it makes it more available to everybody. Because you don't really need a whole heck of a lot when it comes to a junk journal in the true fashion. Um, the terminology junk journal is because it's supposed to be made like out of junk, things that you would typically just throw away. Like, for instance, a box from your pantry. You finish this delicious, delectable stuff, and you then take apart the box, and then you're left with, you can cut off one side, cut off the top flaps, or better yet, I like to fold the flaps down and glue them down because it's extra strength on the inside, on the base and the top of the book. Um, and then, one side becomes the spine, one side is the open area, and then either side is the front and the back of the book. Simple things like that. And the cool thing is if you don't have a box the width you want, say you're like, oh, heavens no, I don't want to sew in that many signatures. If you don't know what a signature is, it is folded papers that make like a group of papers. I was trying to see, let me see. Da, 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 da. I wrote some stuff down because my brain is ridiculous. Yeah, just like a group of papers that you fold in half to make a group, like a reading book kind of thing. Oh, now my brain froze. Let me actually show you. This right here is a group of papers all folded together that make a signature. So I guess it's just kind of like a group of papers that are folded together. You can now call it a signature instead of having to say it's a group of papers that are folded together. Right? So this is just a group of papers, paper items, things like that are just folded together that you would put into a book. Let me see, where's the center? Usually by sewing. You can also tie them. You can, you know, all kinds of things. Glue them, but then you put them in, and when, then you have all these pages in your book. Okay. So now I don't know where I was. Yeah, you can take the boxes, and if you don't like the size of this, you're like, I am not trying to sew in 5 signatures or 6 signatures or whatever. And I understand that because that's a lot. Even for me, and I'm not a big fan of sewing them in. Because I never get them perfectly straight, but that's a whole nother thing. This is not for perfection. Don't ever aim for perfection when you're making a junk journal. And that's what makes it so much better. Trust me. You just have to trust the process. So you don't like how big this is, right? So you can take out both. You can just cut them off, right? So you separate all of them. You reinforce the edges of the front. What you'll use is the front and the back. And then you take this and say you just want half of that. Cut it in half. Then glue it together so they're like extra strong because the spine, you're sewing into it most likely. And then you can use like a hinge effect by either, using a strong glue with fabric, or you can use, I use my favorite, Tyvek tape. This is super strong. I also use this when I want to reinforce the spine of the book where, they connect. So this stuff is great. If you can get your hands on this, I mean, the roll will last you for so long. I've had this for years. I mean, I don't make a heck of a lot of journals, but I've had this for years. Gypsy just scared the bejesus out of me. I forgot she was sitting there. She scared me so bad. Anyway, but yeah, that Tyvek tape works as a great hinge to connect your new spine. Um, so yeah, I want you to use stuff that you have because that's what the basics of the junk journal is. It's kind of like you're recycling instead of throwing things away and putting it out in the landfill. So instead of throwing away the box, make a book, make a journal, make a cookbook, make a travel notebook, make a field guide. Menopause and madness. Make yourself a field guide for all your herbs and stuff. Um, but then you use things like junk mail, You get these things in the mail. This is great because it's heavy duty. You can turn this into all kinds of things. But yeah, you take your junk mail, you take the envelopes from the junk mail, which is great because you reinforce this a little bit and then you can just sew this in and you've got like a cool flap that you can have the use of the envelope to put things in. You can also, for the spine of your book, and I have a couple things actually already that I have done. You'll see the Tyvek tape in use. I used just a package, like a Amazon soft, and that's another thing with junk journals is sometimes I like the sound of things and the feel of how it feels in my hand, it's that whole sensory thing. So, if I like the sound of it or something, I try to think, oh, how can I use that? So anyway, I decided to cut the package and fold it around and figured out how I wanted the shape of the book to be. So this is what I have. And you can't tell, but there is a spine. Let me show you. I just wanted a thin little spine on that one. And I already have it where I used like a bone folder and really just got it folded. But I have yet to make any signatures or a signature to put in here yet because I haven't decided what I want to do with it. And then I have this small piece of cardboard that it was in a package. Yeah. It was holding something. You know how they do with like the foams and they put these extra pieces across. Anyway, it looked like a book to me and I kept it because I want to make a little book out of it. I want to make a little book. Just don't know of what yet. And then this I had purchased a book and from the book depository and it came in this nifty box that's shaped like a book. So I kept it because I can use it to make, that's right, a book. So you can use anything, honestly. I mean, it's just like endless. Like I have my cereal. I brought it over here to show you. I'm not on a special keto diet. It's just I like to control my sugars and I can't eat cereal because cereal is so sugary. So I eat, if I feel like cereal, I eat like a keto cereal because it's usually really low in sugar and low in carbs that turn into sugar. But, I have the box now that I can use when I'm done. I just keep it in the container so I remember what it is. But I wanted to bring it in here and show you. But yeah, so then you can, use your cereal boxes when your kids are done with them. You know? So it's just possibilities are endless. You can also use books and I think they just call them like altered books rather than junk journals. I use a lot of books. I love to make altered books. Um, and then, usually I use books that are like falling apart because A, they're easy to take apart. B, they're already falling apart. And C, I don't feel so guilty taking it apart. Because if it's falling apart, that's on that. It's not me. I didn't wreck literature. I didn't do it. So, yeah. So, yeah, you can use so many things. And then, like, when it comes to the pages, I wanted to show you because if you're like a subscriber to this channel, hi, welcome back. Thank you for joining my journal series. But you're most likely a Temu shopper too, because I do my Temu hauls. So you'll recognize these. If you're new here, hi, welcome. Not sure how you found me, but I am sure glad that you did. Hit the subscribe, hit the notification bell, hit all those things so you can, be notified when more come up. I post a lot, or I try to, and I post in all the different areas, and you don't want to miss things because sometimes I surprise you. But, okay, for the Temu shoppers that like their nails, I put the nails into containers so I could see them and they take up less room. But then I was like, this is good stuff because it's sturdy. So, yeah, I kept these because I can use them. I can use things like this. I can cut this out and it could be a window pocket on a page. Heck, some of these, let me see, I think there was, shoot, I don't remember. Like this one, it has a little bit of a smaller hole, which is so pretty. But like you save the plastic, right? And then you cut out the smooth plastic, right? So you cut the smooth plastic out. Don't mind the rip part. Sometimes I get a little eager. Um, and you glue it, right? You cut it out to fit and you glue it. And now you've got a full-on pocket with that protection there. And it's like a picture frame. How cute is that, right? And then you can also take these apart. And this is where I get really excited. What did I do? You can separate them. Let's see. Do I have one that's, I don't want to rip this one. Maybe this one. So they have areas where they're glued together. And you can try to take it apart. Sometimes they're not glued super tight. I'm just showing you, like, you can do You can make your journal out of anything. Okay, this is not separating. They really have this sucker glued good. But I'm just gonna probably rip it. There we go. That's better. Now we need the one side. Okay. So you can take that, right? You take them apart. And you can even cut it if you don't want to deal with doing that, you know? But you take it apart and then you know, because then you don't have it all messed up like here. Because now it's all jacked up on this side. If you cut it, you're better off. But then you have the beginnings of a little small book, right? And you can have this book cover like that, or you can, so you have like a window when you're done with the book cover. But yeah, you can make little mini books out of it. You can close this off with more card stock or something to make it, you know, sturdier. You can use a piece of that clear plastic behind it and just glue it behind it. That'll also make it sturdy, but then it's also closed. And you can put whatever you want behind it. Put a little pocket behind it so you can change it out every so often. But then you got a little tiny book and you can put this in your purse. Make a little photo album. You know, you could do so many things. So I saw this. I saw these boxes and I was throwing them away because I was like, oh yes, I'm gonna be decluttering, getting all this crap out of my house, blah blah blah. And then I'm looking at it and I'm like, no, I can't throw them all away. I need to save some. So I gave myself the allowance of one bag full because that is plenty. I mean, honestly, and I'm always buying more nails anyway. You know, so recycle those packages, ladies. Make some fun stuff. You can do all kinds of things. So, one bag full. That's it. That's all I get. I also say, like, the packaging stuff that comes in your packages because this makes great um, pages. You can use this as some of your pages. It's great. And it's got a good texture. It's a good base to like collage on or to even like paint or draw. You can write on it, you know, and it kind of has a vintagey look to it because it's, you know, the nice antique brown color. So many things. Um, I also take paper sometimes and dye it. I use different things like there's some green ones that I've done. And sometimes this is just regular copy paper. Sometimes I use graph paper, line papers, envelopes, library cards, all kinds of things. Um, but usually I just mix inks and until I like a color. And then I just plop paper in and then take it out and dry them off. And so I do stuff like that. And that makes fun paper. And then you can do things. Sorry, I'm like digging in here. You got like, you know, your coffee stained paper, and you can like, when you're drying it, if you put like, you know, the paper doilies over it that you've coffee stained, it makes a cool design on the paper. I mean, these are all things that you can do just to jazz things up a little bit with things that you have. If you use like your junk mail and you take the paper out of the junk mail, try coloring that. Half the time the ink comes off. If it doesn't, you cover it up with other stuff. As long as there's no personal information on it, you're fine. This was a piece of lined paper. You could see the ink is gone. But it left fun designs, you know, when this is folded in half in a journal, that'd be super cute. This was a piece of like thicker printer paper that I had printed a template on. And I thought, oh, I'll just dye that and see if I can still see the template. And I can. And I'll probably make something out of it eventually. So you can use that kind of stuff if you don't feel like coloring paper and you want to just run to the store, you can do that. Or if you have like multitudes of other kinds of paper, you can buy colored printer paper. And I get some of these on Amazon. I think these brown antiqued ones I got on Amazon, they're a little like, they're a different kind of paper. They're like a waxy paper. Now this one I've dyed. And it kind of, it takes to the dye really weird, but it's kind of cool. And it changes like the feel of the paper. And it's kind of cool. So if you buy these, it can be dyed and messed with. And it just feels really like smooth. But see, I've already got this ready. I've folded it because I want to use it. But you can buy stuff like that. You don't have to make it if you want to do that. But honestly, like when you're going back to the junk journal, it's just stuff that you would throw away. Like I've got like my old wedding printer paper that's like this metallic silver thrown in here. Got old like little designs that I was working on that maybe the ink wasn't printing right, and I was like, ugh, and I was gonna throw it out, and I thought, well, why would I do that? I can probably use that as something, you know? So stuff like that. You can print things out. I printed this out that I found. It was like on, I was looking up vintage royalty-free style items. And yeah, so I mean, there's just, for paper, you can use whatever. And like, if you've got junk mail and you've got, I think you could probably even use food coloring, to be honest. I'm not like misknowledgeable, you know, I'm just talking about things from my own experience. So yeah, you can use stuff like that. Also fun things to use are like pieces of old ledger paper. This is from a ledger book that I have. And it's just like, I like the feel of it and the sound of it. So I try to put that in all my journals somewhere. This is old lined paper that I've had for, I don't know, decades. And I love it so much. So I always keep some of that for my journals. Graph paper, because I just like graph paper. I have like things like this that I get when I go out antiquing. And these are hard for me to like take apart and separate. I do sometimes, but also it's hard. But like it's got fun stuff like this, you know, look at that. Look at the aged paper. Like how freaking cool is that? But see, things that are falling apart, you know? That just, you know, it's falling apart. It's old. Um, like everything makes, you know, you can, my thoughts aren't compressing. I get so sad when things fall apart. But, you know, you can use everything. The covers, the pages, and you can make them stronger by gluing them onto stronger paper so you know that they'll last in a journal, especially if you're gifting it to somebody. But this kind of stuff, the smell of like old stuff, you know. But I have just like all kinds of these little things that I just pick up because I think they would be so nice to have a new life in a journal, you know, and be loved and looked at. Um, I have also like old ledger paper I've come across, register of policies. Um, and then like this is some of my favorite stuff. And these are things that I've like gathered along the way. These are not things that you need. But I'm just showing you like you can use so many different things in a junk journal because it's just things that would probably end up thrown out. You know? This is like a almost like a ledger. I'm not sure what language that is. The paper is so freaking cool. Yeah, I just love that. And then, little pages like this out of like old books that are falling apart you come across, It's not really focusing all that well, but you catch the drift, I think. This is really cool too. It's the same kind of thing, the ledger. Um, yeah, like that. I mean, isn't that just like so cool? And it's almost like when you're putting these things together, you're putting these things like little fun things to find, you know? Pieces of old books that you've come across. And then you get to feel the textures, the different textures, and the different style papers and things like that. So yeah, all of these kind of things. I purchased some paper off of Temu as well, scrapbooking paper, and I'm sure that if you've watched some of the hauls, you've seen them recently too. But also like the cicada wing paper I've purchased, um, which is super cool. I've had these for a while. These are large and in charge, but they're beautiful. They're thin, and they're gonna be freaking fabulous to play with. They are not expensive. I think you can get them for a couple bucks. But look at that stuff. Oh, so fun. So there's so many things that you can do and use. Um, and we'll use all kinds of things because we're not only going to put these books together, we're going to decorate them too. We're going to decorate them with um, ephemera, which is just like things that normally are made for short-term use, tickets, stamps, things like that. Um, using all kinds of fun stuff that would normally be thrown away. I love cutting cool looking stamps with postage off of my junk mail because stamps make really fun ephemera. And that is definitely the definition of ephemera because it's meant to be thrown out in the trash. This is some paper that I believe I got off Temu, yeah. And it's got like real plants in it. So, I mean, Temu's got some fun stuff if you want some variety of like paper items to put into your journal. Temu is fun for that. I also got this. This was, I think, mulberry paper. Thought we could try that too. I mean, you can do anything. This is like handmade mulberry paper, and we are going to go on a journey and hand make paper. Yeah, this is definitely like the handmade paper. I'm not going to take it out. It's dropping things. But you'll see those later too because we're going to be making paper. Because one thing that, like, when I have uh, mail that I'm just going to toss out, I usually shred a lot of that stuff, like especially the personal stuff that doesn't need to be kept, bank statements, things like that. I'll shred all of that stuff and then I'll shred other junk mail in there, like to add pops of color and stuff because it looks like flowers and things like in the mulch of the paper. Um, and I shred all that and then I make handmade paper and I use that in my junk journals. So those are other things that you can do if you have time on your hands. And then you can go to like ladies who sell junk journal items and buy little packets. So, I mean, endless possibilities. Endless. Okay. So, um, one of the other things that I think you'll need, so make sure one of the things you're going to want is something to make a cover out of. Okay. Could be anything. I don't know if I showed you this, but this, did I show you this? Well, if I did, I'll take it out of the editing so it doesn't sound repetitive. If I didn't, then I don't know what my brain is thinking. Um, but this is a cover I put together out of envelopes. And I believe some kind of like thick cardstock or a box, like it feels like something like that. And I wanted a tiny little spine. So I used some cloth tape. I did not use Tyvek, but I used like book tape. And then I just kind of sewed on it. This is a image that a friend of mine had colored I thought was cool, so she sent me a copy of it. So I print it out and use it every so often. And then the rest is like envelopes. I have envelopes, and you'll see here, I believe, yeah, that's the top. So you can put stuff into the envelope and then down into this envelope. Yeah. But so that way, see, so I made the pages on envelopes so I could stick stuff in there. And then this is from a snippet roll reel. And it's just really like collage stuff that I put together just some folded up paper bag and old muslin fabric, I think. No, that's like a paper, like a wax paper. And then I folded them together and sewed them. And then I sewed together the cover. And I added some lace to the back. But honestly, like, see, now there's a thing. And then a cover. And then some signatures that I was thinking. And that's kind of how it would look when it's put together. And then most likely I'd have dangles hanging from here because I have dangles hanging from everything. But so yeah, you'll need something, like I said, this is an envelope, like envelopes, and probably a cereal box or something, or a Stouffer's something or other. But yeah, so something to make a cover out of. This also is a fun little thing. This is made out of an envelope to put inside of a junk journal. You could use it as a bookmark or whatever. And it's got like another little journaling card on it. I took a tab from an old planner. And then this is a copy and a printed copy of one of my alcohol paintings. Same with the piece on the back. Oh, and then I have some of that, I think it's Japanese paper, like glued on the inside of the window, so it's something cool to look at when you're putting your stuff in there. And then I just, cut things out, just random little clusters here. Just old Jerry Bear fabric, fussy cut. And then the tab is meant to stick out. I put it too far. Okay. So the tab sticks out of the pocket like that. And then this around the envelope, because this was a junk mail envelope. See, that's the back of it. Because I'm planning on just gluing it into a journal. But this is also a printed copy of one of my alcohol paintings. So that's just a little bit to show you that you can use anything to make really sturdy things out of. So yeah, make sure you have something to make the cover out of. You could even use, if you have like 12 by 12 scrapbook paper, I know you can use that. I would just like probably put two together. Okay, so then you'll want some kind of adhesives. Like I said, I like the Tyvek tape. You don't need that. You don't need it. I love it though. You don't need it. You can use any kind of sturdy tape. I mean, heck, you probably even use duct tape, to be honest. I don't know. Doesn't duct tape do anything? You can get some pretty designs. I don't know. And then a glue. These are my favorites. Hold on. Where did my other glue go? Oh, I know you're here. Okay, well, it's disappeared, I guess. That's rude. Oh, found it. Okay. Fabrifix. This is like fabric to fabric, fabric to paper. It's just like great. Fabric, Bonds, fabrics, lace, leather, trims, and more. Fast, easy way to repair, mend, and create with fabric. Fast grab, quick dry, washable, and acid free. You can see it's almost gone. This is my favorite. But any good, this is, I think it's like a silicone, you know? So it's a silicone glue. So I think that's what you would want to get. Let me double check that. Extremely flammable. Do not use when smoking. Doesn't. I think I've heard somewhere that it was silicone. I could probably look it up on the website, but it's fantastic. I use it on covers a lot and edging of pages because I want it to stick really well. When it comes to glue sticks, I use these a lot as well. And the Scotch Create is my favorite. Although I have heard recently that they're kind of hard to find, and that's a little concerning because I only have a couple of these left. But these are fantastic as well. So just some kind of glues. You don't necessarily have to glue your cover down. You don't even have to glue a cover. You can leave it whatever. You can do whatever. You can use a glue stick on your cover. You can sew the covers together if you're using like thin material like I did with this. You can sew. I just dropped all this paper out of there. But I sewed around the edges sloppily, and you can connect them that way and use a glue stick to hold them down in the center area. So you don't need like a big old strong glue, but these are just what I use, what I have found to be worth buying. Um, when it comes to binding the books, you can use your glue, you can sew them together. I like to use my awl. This looks like a little ice pick. You can use anything with a sharp edge, a thick sewing needle, or things like that. I also use the binding wax string. You don't need to get that. You can use, the stuff you can get at, oh, it's loud, the craft store to make those friendship bracelets. You can get that and use that. You can use anything that you can get through the hole that you made. Honestly. um, I just found that I like the wax stuff, so I bought like a kit off of Amazon that has like a bunch of colors and uh, this blue is so pretty. Um, this is open, so it gives you an idea. It's just, you can use like hemp string or whatever. I use the wax stuff just because it's easy to get through everything. This was another, I think this might have, no, I think this definitely came off of Amazon. But this is linen thread, 50 yards, unwaxed, unbleached, 3 gauge, used for bookbinding. So this is unwaxed, so you can also use that. But you can also tie your signatures in, and that's good for people who may want to take them out and add them to something else or add new ones in. And what you do is you have your center, you find the center of your signature, and then the string would go in each signature in the center, and you would tie either on the inside or on the outside. And then that way you can easily change them out, you know? Um, and that's really all you'll need to start in this journal series. Because as we go, while we're making things, we're going to have scraps. And we're going to add to those scraps, and we're going to make fun things to then decorate our journals with. And like I said, it's going to be taking all of these things and all of this junk and turning it into a treasure for yourself or for somebody else, you know? And some of the things I wanted to go over real quick. I know we've already been going for 40 minutes. I'm going to probably have to edit some stuff out. But, you know, junk journals are anything you want it to be. For anybody who's curious, like, what is this? Like, this is crazy. She's a mess. What is all this stuff? Um, it's just like a mix of journals and scrapbooks and art books, and it's just really your creative space because it is what you make it. You can do anything with it. I love adding like watercolor paper and tracing paper, things like that into my junk journals because then it leaves opportunity for me to get creative in it. Like I can have it out and decide, oh, I want a watercolor. And so I get my big heavy duty clips to hold the book open and get in there and do my watercolor, you know, protect my other pages and do some watercolor on it. Or get in there and open the tracing paper and trace a fun little design into the journal, you know? So it becomes your creative space. You can write in it. It can be your diary. It can be, like I mentioned earlier, like for field notes, you can put in a plant you dried and have it in one of your beautiful little pockets that has a window. And then next to it, write about it, you know? So limitless. Junk journals are limitless. They are what you make it, right? So that's why I get so passionate about them. I love them. And I wish I had some to show you that I've made, but I've given them all away. I literally only have this little thing. And I was just playing with envelopes to see if I liked how it was put together. And I thought it was kind of fun. So I'll probably put pictures or something of some of the stuff that I've made so you can kind of get an idea what I've done. Um, so yeah, I mean, they're just your creative space, you know? It's just your little private creative space. Um, there's all kinds of words for different journals, you know, they've got all kinds of different things like smash books and bullet journals and flow journals and art journals and honestly, junk journals can be made into like a culmination of them all. Um, so yeah, and then really, like I said, all you need to get started is something to make out of a cover, some pages to put in, something to connect it all together, and then you've got a place to stuff all your goodies, all your little ephemera, all your little one-time little ticket stubs that you saved and you wanted to have a special place for it. Um, Things that you'll probably hear me talking or saying a lot is like signatures, which we talked about, folded paper to make a grouping of paper, ephemera, which is things like technically that are made to be used once or a few times, just, you know, minimal usage, tickets, stamps. What are some other things? I can't even brain about it. But you get postcards, you know, you get the gist. Things that are only used, you know, for a short period of time. Um, that's like your ephemera. You'll hear me say clusters a lot, and that's kind of when you take your scraps and you put them all together and you make something really pretty out of it. You sew it together, you glue it together, and then all of a sudden it was like all this garbage that would have been thrown out, but now it's this beautiful little piece of personal art that you put together, like a little flower or something. You know, you can take beads and fabric pieces and lace pieces and put it all together and create this new thing that you now have this cluster that you can use to decorate, you know, decorate in your journal, decorate a page, elaborate, make it, you know, even more personal, things like that. Um, the bulldog clips, that's like the heavy duty clips. I talk about they're kind of hingy clips. Those are great to use. Cardstock and chipboard. This kind of stuff is kind of like a chipboard. It's a little lighter. I say if you use two of these boxes and kind of glued them together, that would be kind of like the thickness of chipboard. And that's kind of what's basically used to make a book. So I'll talk about that probably during the series. So I'm just looking at my notes. Oh, and like fussy cuts. Those are fun to use in clusters too, by the way. And it's really just, if I say, oh, these are just like little fussy cuts, it's usually just little things that I've cut out of things. Like say I'm like looking through a magazine and I see these pretty little flowers or butterflies or a cool house or landscape or a window, and I cut around it, super detailed, like really just go into the shape of what I'm cutting out. That's usually like a fussy cut. But those are fun to add in clusters and as little like decorations and things like that. Um, the pamphlet stitch, that is the one that I do the most. Uh, it's the one that I feel the most comfortable with, and I'm still not 100% comfortable with it. I always have a little template, and that's usually something that like I make, like I'll take, a piece of a thick cardstock and I'll cut it to the exact width of the spine. And then I will take my signatures, right? And I'll put it next to the cardstock and make sure that the cardstock is the exact height of my signatures. Then once I do that, I measure where I'm going to put my holes to sew, because I usually sew my pages in. That's my favorite way to, well, I say favorite because it's secure to me. It feels secure and I can put dangles and stuff. And I love dangles and shiny and sparkly things. But not favorite because I don't really enjoy it. I don't really enjoy doing it. Maybe I will once I get more comfortable, but I'm not fully comfortable with it yet. But that's why I use the templates a lot. It just helps me. So I measure where I'm going to put my little holes, and then that way I can mark it. I could take the template and mark it on my spine, and then also then put the signatures next to the marks on the spine, so I can then mark my signatures where I need to use my awl to poke through. And then I poke those holes and then take my needle and pull the string through. Oh, that's another thing, if you're going to sew it, you'll want a needle that you can put your little thread through. I mean, I don't know, um, you could probably even just put it through like you were doing the needle if you get the hole large enough. But I've never tried it. I think I probably wouldn't, because I can't even needle or thread a needle. Snippet roll, that's what I was showing you here. And it's usually when you do, like, say you have like long scraps, or even if you have small scraps, you can attach them, because you usually sew the snippet roll together. You can glue it, you can do all kinds of things. But it's when you kind of take a bunch of scraps and you make like a long roll that you can roll up for storage, kind of like a washi tape roll. But but it's like little collage, just a long roll that you've made of just one big collage. And then you just cut off what you want to use to decorate whatever you're working on. I love a snippet roll. It's one of my favorite things to make. We'll be making some. It's because it's one of my favorite things to use. It's fun to be able to grab some of that roll and use it along paper edging or pockets, or to make a belly band. Oh, that's another term. Belly band is usually just some form of, looks like a belt on your paper, and it goes, somewhere along the paper horizontally or vertically, and that's where you can stuff things in. Oh my gosh, I feel like this video is so confusing. Oh, I hope you understood anything I said. Just even a little. Because I know junk journals, to me anyway, they felt so intimidating. So intimidating. But after I made my first one, I was hooked. Hooked. So I wanted to share the passion with you. Like I said, I've given them all away, but they have happy homes, and it gives me so much joy to know that these items that I was able to reuse and um, make into something special and beautiful, that was thought out for each person and have them feel like so excited about it. It just, I don't know. They're so fun to make. They're so fun to make. They make great gifts. They make great things to have in your life, honestly. I love a journal, so. And now I like making them more than I like writing in them. But decorating them, that's a fun thing. I love to do that. But so I think I'm gonna leave this one here, actually. Um, but before I go, Junk Journal series starts next Saturday. Oh no, what's the date? Mm, I don't know. I'll put the date here. Okay, right there. Um, it'll start next Saturday. I don't know what time I'll have the video up and ready. Time to be determined. It'll be a surprise. Um, but so next Saturday will be the first one, and we'll get it started. So bring some stuff along if you want to play. And then one final thing. At the end of the Junk Journal series, for all of y'all who are actively participating and, you know, taking part in the whole series, commenting, liking, doing all the things, and just, you know, playing along, whatever. You don't have to make a journal now. Just being a part of it, coming along for the ride, whatever. But at the end of it all, we're going to have a lucky winner that'll win the journal that was made during the series. Isn't that cool? I'm excited, and I don't even get to win it. What the hell? Again, I'm gonna make a journal. It's gonna go away. But I think that'll be so fun because then during the series, I can be asking, hey, what do you guys want to see in here? Like, how do you want to do this? Do you want to make these or, whatever? And yeah, and then you can have a chance to win it at the end. So, woo! And then I'm also going to have some digital items that are going to be available for y'all to download and print if you have a printer. And you can utilize them in your journal if you want, or in a future journal, or just have them. Just whatever, because they'll be from me to you. Um, anyway, okay, that's all. That's it. That's all I have for you today. And yeah, you have to let me know your thoughts. Comment below. Please let me know. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it, if it made sense, if I wasn't too absolutely bonkers or confusing. Oh, I get a rambling and, um, give it a like because that seriously helps out my channel. And if you think you're subscribed, give it a double check because I'm noticing a lot of my regular subscribers are getting unsubscribed. And that's sad. I don't like that because that means you're not getting notifications when I upload and you're going to miss stuff. And that's not fun because I'm planning on having a lot of fun little, you know, little, you know, giveaway, giveaway. You know? So make sure that notification bell is hit. Hit that little bell, give it a like, give it a subscribe, give it a share, all the things. Oh my God, my brain. Okay. Anyway, I hope you're having a fabulous morning, afternoon, evening, whatever it is, wherever you are. Make it a good one, a blessed one, a fun one, a creative one. And I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.